Hello, my name is Tyler Burgess and I'll be presenting the first level for Team Topaz. The overall theme I went with was a water treatment plant, and the player's main goal is to restore several substations within the plant so that the local bastion can use it for a new water source. The first introduction in the level is a pressure plate system that, once held down, opens the room. Introducing the next mechanic is pulling levers down to do the same. Expanding upon the pressure plates in the next room, the player must hold both of these down in order to unlock the room. This is done by placing a stool on one of the pressure plates while standing on the other. Collectibles are placed at each door to draw the player's attention, and while the first lever is pretty obvious in this room, to get to the second lever, breadcrumbing was used with that collectible in order to lure them to the second lever needed. Once both levers are held down, this door unseals, expanding on the lever concept. Twisting the two mechanics together in this introduction, the player must simultaneously put a lever into down position and hold down something onto the other pressure pad in order to open the door. Leading out into the mastery twist system, we combine the concepts of needing to hold down the pressure plates and the levers. While the first one is obvious in its placement, the second one's a bit more hidden. But using collectible breadcrumbing and spacing of the levers, as well as the lighting pointing towards the opening, the player is hinted towards crouching down to get to the final alcove that has the pressure plate. If the pressure plates within the room have both been held down, and the levers are in their correct positions, the final door to the level is opened. Exiting from here, the player is met with the exit transition of a natural wall, and then onto a fence transition to open up into the next level.
Hello everybody, my name is Matthew Cole. This is my level of the shipping yard. The player was sent here by the Bastion to prepare a truck full of freight for transfer back to the Bastion. As we enter the level, we start in the control room, and we have to turn power onto the facility, which allows us through this door into the actual shipping yard. As the player progresses, they see that there is a shipping container that they have to place a pallet into on this pressure plate, which opens up a door behind them, and they're able to progress. Collectibles lead the way from the shipping crate to the crane control room. And as you can see, the level is designed with pallets everywhere as a mess from the inactivity of the shipping yard. The player progresses up into the crane control room, where they have to use another lever to spawn a small cutscene, which allows the player to see that the crane has moved and they are able to jump across. As the player exits the crane control room, they notice that there is clutter everywhere and shipping crates have been strewn across the world. This is kind of a far jump, and if they miss it, they will restart at the previous checkpoint. Now that they're on the boat, the player must figure out that the wooden plank is able to be moved across back to the next section of the shipping yard. It is designed to only activate once you're on top of it. And now that the player has crossed safely to the last section of the shipping yard here, they're gathering some collectibles and progressing to the last switch mechanic, which is hidden behind some pallets of freight. Once activating the switch, the conveyor belts engage and the player is able to jump across, gathering collectibles as they go, and enter the garage. As the player enters the garage, they immediately see that there are several trucks. However, the truck that they want to load is the last one. They will take this pallet of freight, put it on the pressure plate to open the back door of the truck, and put the final pallet inside the truck, loading the truck for transport back to the bastion. As the player leaves the garage, the primary objective is completed, and we move on to the next level.
Hello, my name is Alexander Raleigh, and my level is a factory. Your goal is to get some pristine teddy bears for the bastion. As you can see, you just gotta hit the switch to enter it. Now, you just gotta place the box on the pressure pad, like so, in order to activate this platform to help you get inside, because the doorway's blocked off. Inside, you'll find it is pretty big, but there's a lot of stuff in there to fill it up. So, over here you'll notice a box. Probably wondering why. Well, that's because over here is a platform. You just gotta place it on there so that way the platform will go up with you. Or take you up with you. Sorry. So, just keep on heading down this way and get some more gold. And you'll find another platform with a box. Just place the box onto the pressure pad, like so, to go up again. And another box, and this time a switch panel on the wall. Just use the gravinol, bring up the platform, and boom. Just toss the box. You can do whatever you want with later. After that, just a little more gold, and pile of teddy bears. Just walk up to it, and you'll have grabbed one. And that is pretty much it. Just jump out the window and then head down the street. And that was pretty much my level. I know it's the shortest one out of all of these, but I hope you enjoyed.
This is Charlie Hall, and this is my area, the Foundry. Just have a few boxes here that kind of engage the player to move a little differently between levels. And then a little breadcrumb item, just the gold ingot, bring them in. The first setup is just introducing the idea of the pressure plate activating a door. And that's basically just showing the player that they can go through the door because the animation is slow enough. Setup 2 just introduces them to the bridge, that they'll need to pull a lever to open the bridge. I've got another breadcrumbing item there. Setup 3 expands on that pressure plate idea and shows that this opens 2 doors, and one door is close enough to get through, and one will require that pressure plate being held down. So this is the first instance of using an extra object as your mechanic. Okay, setup 4, the player can cross right away, but if they choose to use the lever, they can get an extra item. Just a way to introduce that the levers are going to start moving 2 bridges at once. And a little breadcrumbing item there. And here I just have a little exploration reward area where the player can mess around with this crucible and collect a few more gold ingots before moving on. So as they go up the stairs, they'll see that I have another lever, another pressure plate. So this is the first twist of the mechanics where I'm combining them. The player has to extend the bridge out to get the object to interact with the pressure plate. It's a little bit of an expansion on that idea. And then the bridges have changed a little bit. So it's basically the same as the other setup, but they extend them. And here I'm using breadcrumbing to hint at a path. And there's a little comment in there that says that I might be able to cross this gap with the bridge extended. Another little breadcrumbing item. When the player crosses the bridge here, you'll see we have another pressure plate and a lever. So this expands on the idea from before, of moving multiple bridges. but it's closed off the path for the player to just proceed normally. And there's no items around, so we'll have to go back and get this sledgehammer from the previous puzzle and use the alternate path that was hinted at before. So you come around the roof of the building, come back down the stairs, and place it on the pressure plate. Now the path's clear. So that is using that introduce, practice, twist, master template. Here I have a couple of reward items. And that's the end of my level, the Foundry.
I'm Brandon Olson, and I am the designer for this section. My section is based off an old mansion that's been abandoned for a long time and has caught fire recently, and the player has been tasked by a resident of the Bastions to retrieve a family heirloom, which happens to be a very old and expensive necklace. In this room, we can see that the fire spread rather quickly. Also, we see our first hidden collectible, which will reward the player for exploration. And another reward is this hidden Easter egg around the level, which will play a very short song if interacted with. And also in the first room we see our first mechanic, which is this lever, which will open a door to guide for the player, and a green light will help guide them. In the second room we encounter our second mechanic, which is this plate, which will open another door if interacted with. I chose to add particles to the crates to help the player see where they are. And in that previous room, we encountered our second instance of the lever, which opened a much further away door where the player had to go look. Here we encounter a hallway that has been broken down and collapsed due to the fire, and the player has to crawl under it and over. And in the upcoming room, we encounter the first time the player will encounter the fire, and is hampered due to the smoke. And in this room, I chose to make the fire delay rather long to, instead of hurt the player, more scare them. And so that way, for future reference, they can be on edge, but not terrified of it. As the player exits the room, they will have to retrace their steps back to the center room, which will require them maneuvering once again in this hallway. And as they enter the main room, they will be looking for another green light to help guide them down their path. And once they found it, they will have to run across the room. And once they enter the subsequent room, they will see that there's a lot of hidden detail in here to show that the person that once owned this place was a man of culture and loved his books. And here we encounter our first instances of the fire hurting the player to a decent margin. And next we encounter a collapsed room where the player will have to shift camera views. I chose to add the message to shift cameras because most people forget about this mechanic, and it will greatly aid in the immersion of the level. Here we find the final instances of the level and the crate mechanics. The player will have to take the crate out of the collapsed room and back to the center room for future use. And they can either throw it, which can be demonstrated here, or they could carry it. It is much simpler to launch it, of course. And here the player is looking for the green light to notify them where to go. And here the player must shoot the crate into the furnace to open the final door. And here the player is looking for the green light once again, and they find it. And in the final room, they find the necklace. And their exit of the mansion before it catches fire, and them along with them. And that's my level.